Welcome to Air Academy Associates series on using SPC Excel. Today we're going to address the graphical tool called a histogram. We'll start by showing you a couple of PowerPoint slides to delineate what a histogram is and why we might want to use it. And then we'll delve into software to show you the different options you have in constructing a histogram. So what is a histogram? Well, a histogram is a bar chart which displays the distribution of variables, or what we call continuous data. Since the data is continuous, the names of the bars which show up on the horizontal axis of the histogram will be numerical intervals because the data is continuous, and the purpose of the histogram is to show you the distribution. That is the shape. The bars will determine a shape. They will also show you the balance point and how the data is spread. So the histogram is designed to show us the distribution. So suppose we have 25 data points collected on how long it takes to get a neurology consult at a particular medical facility. What does the distribution of wait times look like? Well, to get the histogram, all we have to do is go to the Sigma Zone SPC Excel main menu, click on Analysis Diagrams right here, and then click on Histogram. And what you will see then is a box that comes up down here saying, what data do you want to look at? Well, we've already selected the data, so you just click on Next, and up shows the histogram. The 5 blue bars constitute the histogram. By default, a normal distribution or a bell-shaped curve is superimposed upon that data to see if the normal distribution is a good fit. And the reason the normal distribution is used here is because there are a lot of statistical tools, both graphical and analytical, like process capability, like a hypothesis test, such as the t-test, which are dependent upon an underlying normal distribution. So it's always a good idea to get the histogram of the data before you use some of the other tools, because you will now have an understanding of whether the data is normal or it's not. The other thing you're going to get is summary data. You see the summary data up here of the mean, the standard deviation. There's a p-value that I'll talk about a little later when we get into the software. There is a user interface here that allows you to make some changes to your histogram, and I will demonstrate that right now because we're going to go to the software. We're now looking at an Excel spreadsheet with 25 data points on it, and the way to get the histogram for this data, as instructed before, we're going to highlight the data. I'm in the habit of doing that. By the way, you do not have to highlight the data first if you don't want to. You could select the tool first, such as I'm going to do right now, going to Sigma Zone, Analysis Diagrams, and Histogram. Now, before I click on histogram, I want to show you there are 6 graphical tools in this particular Analysis Diagrams menu item. If you forget, and the icons are pretty small here, if you forget what tool you might want to look at, go to the diagram selection wizard. You get bigger icons here. I'm a little older. I have trouble seeing those small icons, so I like big icons. So the one we want here is the histogram. So we're going to click on that guy, and we've already highlighted the data, so we're going to click on Next here. But if you have not highlighted the data, this is the point where you specify the range of data. By the way, the data does not have to be completely in one column. You could have, we have 25 data points here, you could have a 5 by 5 little matrix of 25 data points, and as long as you highlighted all of the data, the software will take care of the rest for you. So we're going to click on Next, and here comes the histogram. We already have it. And there are things here that we're going to look at as advertised. The numerical intervals are shown as the names of these 5 bars. The reason there are 5 bars is because the default is the square root of the number of data points. That is the number of bars that are originally going to show up when you click on histogram. And we had 25 data points, so the square root of 25 is 5. Don't worry about that because you can change that. You can just come to number of classes. The word class is synonymous with the number of bars or the number of intervals that we're looking at. So 5, make it 6. Make it 7. Make it 4. It doesn't matter. And you could change, I'll go back to the default, you can change the gaps on your bars. If you like to see more space between the bars, you can do that as well. You can also change the anchor point. That is, change that 36. Maybe you don't like 36. Maybe you prefer 35. Press enter. Notice it changed your interval width now to, the anchor point to 35. The class width can be changed. Maybe you don't like 17.6, so we're going to put 15. So now our bars are 35 to 50, 50 to 65, and so forth. Now, you may or may not like this normal curve over that. If you don't like to have it appear, you can say no line, and it will take the line off. There are other distributions that you can look at too, like the exponential distribution, which is not a good fit. Now, how can we tell it's not a good fit? Well, there are two ways to tell. First of all, the red exponential curve is not a very good fit for the bar chart. And secondly, the KS-test p-value, which is 0.0005, tells us that the exponential distribution is not a good fit. Whenever that p-value is less than 0.05, that's an indication that the assumed distribution will not be a good fit. And in this case, it's 0.0005, which is much, much less than 0.05. Thus, we conclude that the exponential distribution is not a very good fit. If we go back to normal, you will see the p-value is 0.5526. Pretty good fit. So the normal distribution is a reasonable fit. And this p-value tells you that. And so the bottom line is you have the ability to do normal, exponential, or Weibull, which is a good distribution for failure times, times till failure, things like that. But you have the ability to change this graph any way you like. Here it is 5. This is the default 5 bars. And if you're ready to move on to the next user interface, although I want to say something before we leave this. There's a little box here that is reserved for survey data. This would be data like you collect on a Likert scale for satisfaction, customer satisfaction, on a scale of, say, 1 to 5, where a 5 is highly satisfied, a 1 is highly dissatisfied, a 3 is neutral. If you have that kind of data, just click on this and you will automatically get 5 bars or 6 bars if you use a 6-point Likert scale. You will get that many bars, and of course the heights of the bars are just like they are now. They will tell you how many observations you saw in that particular class. In this case, we don't have survey data, so I'm just going to click Next. And here's where you can change your chart title, say wait time for a neurology appointment. Okay, and something else, and press enter, and you'll see that come up at the title. You can also change class. That's one you might want to think about changing to suit your particular application. A good item to put in there is your unit of measure. Like in our case, it's days. So we put days, and that shows up down here. There's a couple other things you can choose here to save your settings or use your default settings. I'm not going to choose that now. But even if you click that and you save these specific settings, you can always go back in and change it by way of this options menu item. That is a main menu item on Sigma Zone, SPC Excel 2010. So we're finished with this, and you see the histogram with the normal curve over it. The normal curve is a very good fit for this data. I want to remind you, you're still in Excel, and you still have the ability to use the other Excel features. So if you clicked on this and you saw the format of the graph, I left clicked on this, got format. If you go up here to format, you will see like a text box. I'm going to click on that. I'm going to come down here and build a text box. Like a rule of thumb for this p-value. If the p-value is less than 0.05, then this distribution is not a good fit for the data. So you can come in and do stuff like that. This is still Microsoft Excel. You still have the ability to annotate your graphs. If you forgot something up here in your title, just click on this guy and you can come up here and change appointment to wait times. Say I didn't get this right and I wanted to add wait time. So the bottom line is you have the ability to use Microsoft Excel. That's how easy this is to use, and that's the beauty of integrating some of these powerful tools into Microsoft Excel. So thank you very much. This concludes our presentation on the graphical tool called a histogram.